We're announcing one of the largest transformations in the global automotive business.
Three car manufacturers just revealed three new $8,000 pickup trucks, and the moment instantly felt bigger than a routine product announcement. Ford CEO Jim Farley bringing back the Ford Ranchero, Toyota CEO Koji Sato unveiling the return of the Toyota Stout, and Subaru CEO Atsushi Osaki reviving the Brat created the kind of shock that only happens when familiar names reappear, carrying a completely new mission. These were not introduced as oversized luxury machines, packed with inflated pricing, excessive dimensions, and prestige-first positioning. They arrived as compact, sharply focused pickups designed around something the market has neglected for too long: affordability. The $8,000 figure changed the tone of the entire event. It turned what could have been a nostalgic branding exercise into a serious statement about accessibility, utility, and the growing gap between what modern vehicles cost and what ordinary buyers can realistically afford. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The reveals carried an unusual kind of electricity because each nameplate already means something distinct in automotive history. The Ranchero speaks to Ford's old talent for blurring the line between passenger comfort and pickup practicality. The Stout evokes Toyota's earliest truck roots and a time when durability mattered more than image. The Brat brings back one of the most unconventional, playful utility vehicles ever put on the road, a vehicle that never fit neatly into any single category and became memorable precisely because of that. By reviving all three at once and attaching them to the same startling price point, the event became more than a product debut. It became a direct challenge to the assumptions that have shaped the pickup segment for years. For a long time, the industry has treated small trucks as either too marginal to matter or too difficult to price aggressively. These three reveals suggested the opposite. They suggested that compact utility is no longer a compromise category. It may be the category with the clearest purpose. What made the event especially compelling was the contrast between the emotional power of the names and the practical bluntness of the products being introduced. Usually, a nostalgic revival is drenched in sentiment, performance language, premium materials, and celebratory styling cues. Here, the emotional hook was immediately grounded by the hard reality of everyday need. These trucks were presented not as halo vehicles or collector tributes, but as usable, attainable tools. That completely changed the meaning of the revivals. Instead of asking buyers to pay more for heritage, these manufacturers used heritage to support a lower cost, higher value proposition. That creates a rare kind of credibility. It says the past is not being mined for decoration. It is being used to re-establish a practical identity that many brands have let fade. Ford's decision to return the Ranchero under Jim Farley was arguably the most symbolically potent moment of the three. The Ranchero has always occupied a fascinating space in American automotive memory because it represented a kind of cleverness that has become increasingly rare. It was never about brute force. It was about combining everyday drivability with cargo-carrying usefulness in a way that fit normal life. Bringing that idea back at an $8,000 entry point reframes the Ranchero not as a retro novelty, but as a direct answer to today's transportation pressures. The modern market has drifted toward trucks that are physically massive, financially intimidating, and often detached from the basic chores that originally made pickups essential. Reintroducing the Ranchero in this context sends a clear message. There is still tremendous value in a vehicle that does the job without overwhelming the owner. Farley's reveal also implied that Ford sees a widening opportunity below the mainstream pickup ladder. The company already understands trucks better than almost anyone, but the Ranchero revival suggests an acknowledgement that truck demand is not monolithic. Not everyone wants or needs a full-size machine with towering ride height, costly options, and monthly payments that feel closer to a mortgage bill than a vehicle purchase. A compact Ranchero at $8,000 reopens the conversation around the truck as a practical household asset rather than a statement object. It becomes relevant to first-time buyers, small business owners, delivery workers, tradespeople in urban areas, and families that want cargo flexibility without surrendering maneuverability or budget discipline. That is a remarkably broad audience, and Ford's willingness to revive a historic name for that audience indicates a very deliberate repositioning. The meaning of the Ranchero's return goes deeper than simple affordability. It also reflects a cultural shift in what many buyers are starting to admire. For years, aspiration in the truck world has often meant bigger, taller, more powerful, and more expensive. But an $8,000 Ranchero asks a different question. What if intelligence, restraint, and usability become aspirational again? That question has real force because many consumers are increasingly fatigued by overcomplication. They are weary of features they did not ask for, giant touchscreens replacing simple controls, and vehicle dimensions that make city parking or neighborhood errands unnecessarily stressful. A compact pickup with a known, respected badge offers a different kind of pride. It suggests competence instead of excess. It allows owners to feel they made a smart choice, not just a flashy one. Toyota's revival of the Stout under Koji Sato brought a different but equally powerful energy to the event. If the Ranchero revival felt like a statement about American pickup culture rediscovering its practical roots, the Stout's return felt like a reminder of Toyota's original global truck philosophy. The Stout name carries historic weight because it belongs to an era when trucks were judged first by whether they could last, carry, work, and keep going without drama. That heritage aligns naturally with the idea of an $8,000 pickup. Unlike a premium revival that might have turned the Stout into a lifestyle accessory, this reveal positioned the name exactly where it makes the most sense, at the point where toughness and basic usefulness matter most. In that sense, Toyota did not merely bring back a name, it restored a philosophy. Sato's involvement amplified that impression because Toyota is a company whose reputation has long been tied to reliability, measured engineering, and disciplined product planning. An $8,000 Stout immediately sounds like a vehicle built to serve rather than impress. That is significant because Toyota's brand strength allows it to make a low-cost offering feel credible rather than cheap. There is a major difference between inexpensive and flimsy, and Toyota's challenge at this reveal was to convince the audience that the Stout belongs firmly in the first category. The historic name helps enormously. It evokes sturdiness, mechanical honesty, and a no-nonsense spirit. That means the Stout can carry a simple design or modest specification without appearing underdeveloped. Simplicity becomes part of the value proposition rather than evidence of compromise. The Stout's return also carries major implications for the definition of utility in the modern automotive landscape. Toyota has spent decades mastering the art of selling durability across widely varying global markets, and a small pickup at this price point fits naturally into that broader tradition. It suggests a vehicle that is not just for enthusiasts or nostalgia-driven buyers, but for people who actually depend on transportation as a daily tool. A truck like that could appeal to market vendors, maintenance crews, independent contractors, farmers needing a light-duty runabout, and urban businesses that require cargo access without the cost and bulk of larger commercial vehicles. The Stout name gives that role instant legitimacy. It tells people this is not an experiment. It is a return to a form Toyota already understands deeply. Then there was the Subaru Brat, which gave the event its boldest emotional spark. The Brat has always been one of the most distinctive names in utility vehicle history because it represented a delightfully odd but strangely logical solution to everyday needs. It was small, approachable, and full of personality, yet it was also practical in ways that bigger trucks were not. Atsushi Osaki's decision to revive the Brat at an $8,000 price point transformed that eccentric legacy into something unexpectedly relevant. In a market crowded with serious-looking, aggressively styled utility vehicles, the Brat reappeared as a reminder that usefulness can still be clever, compact, and even a little playful. That made its reveal feel less like a retro callback and more like the reawakening of a forgotten design instinct. The Brat's importance in this trio lies in how differently it interprets the low-cost pickup idea. Ford brings heritage tied to American car-truck crossover thinking. Toyota brings workhorse credibility and truck lineage. Subaru brings adaptability, lightness, and a more unconventional understanding of utility. That makes the Brat revival especially interesting because it expands the definition of who an $8,000 pickup might be for. It could attract people who have never seriously considered a truck before. Small outdoor business owners, city residents with occasional hauling needs, rural drivers who value compact dimensions, younger buyers who want function without intimidating size, and Subaru loyalists who appreciate practical engineering all suddenly have a new point of entry. The Brat invites utility buyers into the pickup conversation from a completely different direction. Osaki's reveal also says something important about the evolving relationship between identity and need. Subaru has built a strong reputation around approachable capability, everyday resilience, and vehicles that feel designed for real people rather than status signaling. The Brat revival fits that reputation beautifully. At $8,000, it becomes a statement that practical ownership does not have to be dull, oversized, or financially punishing. It allows Subaru to bring back one of its most recognizable names in a form that feels consistent with the company's broader character. That is crucial because successful revivals are not only about the past, they must feel natural in the present brand story. The Brat did not look like an artifact dragged forward for nostalgia alone. It looked like a forgotten answer rediscovered at exactly the right time. What made the combined effect of these three reveals so striking was how clearly they addressed a market imbalance that has been building for years. Vehicle prices have climbed so high that entire groups of buyers have been pushed toward older used models, stretched financing, or vehicles that do not actually match their needs. Pickups in particular have become symbols of that shift. They remain culturally central and commercially important, but they have also drifted away from the basic affordability that once made them work vehicles first and lifestyle machines second. By placing three heritage pickup names at the same $8,000 threshold, Ford, Toyota, and Subaru turned that imbalance into the core subject of the event. They did not just present products, they made a case that the industry has been leaving obvious demand unmet. The price itself was the most disruptive element. $8,000 is not merely low by current new vehicle standards, it is almost defiant. It forces a rethinking of what a new truck needs to be, what equipment is essential, and how much complexity should be built into a vehicle whose purpose is straightforward usefulness. That number instantly changes the emotional relationship between buyer and machine. Instead of feeling like a long-term financial gamble, the truck begins to feel attainable. Instead of demanding that utility be justified against a huge monthly burden, it restores the old logic of ownership. Buy it, use it, rely on it, keep it working. That is a dramatically different psychological position from the one many buyers occupy today. The event also highlighted how powerful legacy names can be when paired with economic realism. If these had been three completely unfamiliar model names, the reveals would still have been interesting because of the price. But the return of the Ranchero, Stout, and Brat gave the moment depth and emotional texture. Buyers do not only see low-cost trucks, they see the return of ideas that once made sense and perhaps never should have disappeared. That matters because it helps the trucks feel trustworthy before anyone even studies the details. A historic name provides narrative continuity. It suggests that the manufacturer is not improvising from scratch, but reconnecting with a known identity. In an era when many consumers feel overwhelmed by constant reinvention, that familiarity has genuine power. Another compelling implication of the event is how it reframes innovation. The auto industry often presents innovation as something visible through giant screens, autonomous features, electrified performance metrics, software ecosystems, or radical exterior styling. But there is another kind of innovation that is quieter and perhaps more socially meaningful, finding a way to deliver legitimate usefulness to more people. An $8,000 pickup that restores access to new vehicle ownership is innovative in a way that many expensive flagship models are not. It solves a practical problem. It lowers a barrier. It reconnects design with real economic conditions. In that sense, the event suggested that innovation and simplicity do not have to be opposites. Sometimes the most radical move is stripping the concept back to what people actually need. The three reveals also placed unusual emphasis on size as an advantage rather than a deficiency. Over time, larger dimensions have often been equated with greater value, greater capability, and greater desirability. Yet the return of the Ranchero, Stout, and Brat implies that smaller trucks may be better aligned with contemporary realities in many environments. Crowded cities, narrow streets, small garages, rising fuel sensitivity, and the need for easy maneuverability all favor compact utility vehicles. The event made compactness feel smart again. These trucks were not framed as lesser pickups for people who could not afford something bigger. They were framed as intentionally efficient solutions for people who want a vehicle that fits daily life rather than dominating it. There's also something significant about the fact that three different manufacturers from different cultural traditions arrived at essentially the same conclusion. Ford, Toyota, and Subaru do not carry identical design languages, customer bases, or product histories. Yet all three use this event to say that a low-cost, compact pickup deserves renewed attention. That convergence matters. It suggests that the underlying demand is not niche or regional, but broad and structural. When manufacturers with such different backgrounds independently revive heritage utility names around the same price point, it hints that the industry may be rediscovering a neglected center of gravity. Practical mobility, light hauling, and affordability may no longer be fringe concerns. They may be the most urgent concerns. The event's emotional force also came from the way each reveal tapped into a specific fantasy that remains deeply alive in the car market. The fantasy of buying something genuinely useful without being financially trapped by it. That fantasy used to be normal. Now it feels almost radical. The Ranchero promised the smart, versatile American utility coupe concept, reborn for people who need flexibility. The Stout promised workmanlike honesty and dependable toughness at a price that respects the buyer. The Brat promised personality, nimbleness, and compact usefulness without unnecessary seriousness. Together, they formed a kind of counter-programming to the dominant automotive mood. Instead of asking buyers to stretch further, they asked why they should have to stretch so far in the first place. Another major implication lies in brand perception. When a company introduces an expensive flagship, it often wins attention but risks feeling distant from ordinary customers. When it introduces an affordable, well-targeted utility vehicle, it can generate a different kind of respect. It can seem attentive, responsive, and grounded. That is especially true when the vehicle revives a beloved name with genuine heritage. Ford, Toyota, and Subaru all stood to gain. Something deeper than sales excitement in this event. They position themselves as brands willing to revisit old strengths in order to address present-day affordability pressures. That has narrative value far beyond the product itself. It tells customers that the company remembers what transportation is supposed to do. The reveals also raised intriguing questions about what buyers are willing to trade away in exchange for price and clarity of purpose. A truck at $8,000 does not invite fantasies of endless luxury equipment. Instead, it invites a more disciplined conversation about essentials. What makes a pickup truly useful? What matters most in daily operation? What features support the mission, and which simply increase cost and complexity? These are not minor questions. They go to the heart of product design. By presenting these trucks as serious offerings rather than budget curiosities, the event implied that many consumers may be ready to rethink the hierarchy of desirability. Ease of ownership, cargo access, simplicity, and compact maneuverability may suddenly matter more than visual dominance or feature overload. The timing of such an event also makes its implications more vivid. Economic pressure has made many consumers more cautious, more analytical, and less interested in paying for automotive excess. A reveal built around three $8,000 pickups lands directly in that mood. It does not require buyers to suspend disbelief about affordability. It addresses affordability head-on. And because the names involved are so recognizable, the event avoids feeling purely austere or joyless. That blend is powerful. It offers seriousness without sterility. These are not stripped anonymous appliances. They are the Ranchero, the Stout, and the Brat. The charm of those names softens the austerity of the price point and turns the whole proposition into something exciting rather than merely economical. There was also a subtle but important shift in status language embedded in the reveals. It suggests there is enough depth in the market for distinct personalities, not just one stripped-down template. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us which revived pickup excites you most, and why do you think? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.